When my non-binary daughter got pregnant and joined a cult, she expected me to raise her child. Now, I'm grappling with guilt and anger, wondering if I'm the asshole for refusing to take on the responsibility. Basically, my pregnant daughter shut me out of her life completely, and rumor had it she was living in a homeless camp with her weirdo lover out in the woods. It's a huge place, and my friends and I searched a few times but couldn't find her. It's also dangerous because there aren't laws out there, and the homeless shoot at ATV riders and hikers and send dogs after people who come too close to what they consider their territory. To be clear, I don't think my daughter was part of that group. The camp is huge and full of meth addicts, sex traffickers, and drug labs. Anyway, the full story is in my account if you care. I reached out to the parents of the sperm donor, and they have essentially disowned him due to his troubling behavior, which is similar to what I previously described, but directed towards his younger siblings. It's really sad. Now, on to the recent developments. This all happened a couple of weeks ago, but I hesitated to share because of my own emotions and the expected strong reactions from Reddit about the deep anger, shame, and disappointment I feel towards my daughter. When I returned from grocery shopping, I found a pregnant woman at my door. It was my daughter, but she had changed so much that she seemed like a stranger. She talks incessantly, making it impossible to get a word in. She has several small tattoos on her face, and, I'm sorry to say, she looks like she has aged 20 years. She had been living rough. She was angry I locked her out. I changed the locks after she left, and basically expected to move back into her old room with no problem, like it was just another day from back in the winter when she lived here. Of course, I wasn't going to turn her away, so I guess, in a way, she was right. She was living in the homeless camp with the sperm donor, and I insisted she take a shower because it looked like she hadn't since leaving. She also stank badly. She had no shame about blocking my number or what she put me through by disappearing. All she wanted to talk about was the grand fate that she and sperm donor were building. They're building a community of new people, and she went on and on and on without mentioning the baby once. I don't know how anyone can stand them, but sperm donor has multiple partners, and my daughter is one of them and is perfectly happy being his broodmare. The broodmare is my verbiage. Hers is much more royal. Frankly, based on what she overshared, sperm donor seems like a complete sex fiend. Finally, I broke in and asked, and she said she had been to the doctor regularly. That was a lie, found out later, and all was well with the baby. At this point I knew she had to be on drugs. If she was awake, she was talking, and none of what she said had an end or a point. Also, a lot was from Crazy Town. What I got from her was that she and several other ladies and men somehow were to carry the next generation of new people. Yes, the men. Yes, biological men. Sperm donor was sort of the middle of the wheel with the spokes, as she described it. I've met him before, and I'm surprised he was able to get one girlfriend, much less whatever grouping is going on now. Anyway, sometimes she said she wanted to keep the baby, though she wouldn't tell me a plan to take care of and house it. I think she expected to stay with me, and sometimes she wanted to adopt it out, but not for the good of the baby but to spread the new people. This part is going to upset the internet, but the new people are apparently without gender expectations, and that was why she didn't know the baby's gender yet. Oh yeah, and also some of the wheel, her group, were empathic and could communicate their feelings through the other world. As a house guest, she was the absolute worst. It was like she had gone feral out in the camp and cleaned up after herself to the point where she mostly did not even flush the toilet after using it. She ate everything, which was to be expected, but never cleaned up after herself and kept asking. Asking is too mild of a word, she demanded, for me to take her out to restaurants. I did a couple of times because I missed her and was trying to make a connection, but then once afterward, I took her to the store to get baby supplies, and she was weirdly detached. Sort of picked up the first thing she saw on the shelf, and all the while, it was yak 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 about her true family of new people and their grand fate. Anyway, I finally got out of her that she expected the baby in mid-July, which put her outside the time frame she originally gave me. I had it on my calendar. I was obsessed with the possible due date, because I didn't know if she found a baby on my doorstep or what, and yes, she was under the care of a doctor. Both lies. Getting her to focus on one subject was impossible. She would only stop talking long enough to take a breath, and only listen long enough for you to stop for your own, before she'd launch into a new thing, usually around sperm donor, who she loved but was nowhere in sight and was chilling back at the camp with the rest of his breeding stock, or whatever. Basically, I was waiting for her to come down off whatever high she was on when she went into full-blown labor. It was a complete shit show. She was having pains, but her water hadn't broken yet. At the hospital, it came out that she had not been to the doctor once for the baby. There are programs in our state that cover pregnancies, which put her at high risk, so she was admitted immediately. That's when the switch flipped, and she became hateful against nurses and doctors. She said the worst things, and they were absolute saints in return. She also had delusions of grandeur and told them she was their queen and accused them of trying to punish her. It was so wild. I can't even describe the monster she became. So hateful. Racist, vicious, and the worst things you can say to people, she said them. She wasn't in hard labor yet, so it wasn't entirely the pain. I pulled one nurse aside and told her where she had been living, and that I suspected drugs, though I hadn't caught her using yet. They were so professional and gave her painkillers that helped her mood. Not gonna lie, they doped her up because she was acting wild. Imagine my surprise when her blood work came out clean. I wasn't there for the birth because she didn't want me in the room with her, and heaven help me, I was a little relieved because I was ashamed of her behavior. But I did talk to a social worker on staff to let them know everything I did. The lady was very nice, but couldn't speculate officially on my daughter's mental state. I said she had to be bipolar or manic or something because her behavior was not normal, but she asked if she had threatened to kill herself or harm the baby, and she hadn't. They can't step in until there's a threat. Miraculously, the child was born at a good weight and healthy, and not addicted. I don't want to give too much info on them because the internet is forever, and they may search for their own past one day. My daughter lucked out big time and had a normal delivery as things went. She didn't give the sperm donor's name out as the father, though I did to the social worker. They can't be put on the birth certificate on my word. She got up and left her baby that evening, without officially checking out and without saying goodbye to me or her newborn. Because the hospital is a safe surrender point, she won't be charged for abandonment. CPS asked if I wanted to take the child, and though it tore me up, I said no. There are a lot of reasons for why. A big one is I don't want to be held hostage to my daughter's whims, and especially sperm donor. I don't want to be on the hook for more children who are likely coming. Also, look at my daughter. I did my best, and she still turned out this way. Maybe I shouldn't try again. I know getting a new family is almost the best thing that could have happened for the baby. Even with problems with the foster system, it has to be better than the camp. But I feel like dog shit about it even now. I also suspect they'll have a sibling as soon as my daughter can arrange it. I know my daughter is not well. I know she's in a cult, and probably in danger, and also probably an abuser herself, based on the stories she casually dropped about other members. She is also a selfish liar, and it is luck or the grace of God, or what have you, that her baby was born healthy. She is rolling the dice on her life and the lives of her future children. She's sick and under a sex fiend's control, and now thinks she has magic thought powers, but she has some responsibility in this too. All the rest of the transgender stuff with her lover, and if she is NB or not from the past, it doesn't matter. She's an adult and is making some bad choices. It's hard for me to type out, but the way she treated the hospital staff was so cruel. Seriously. I had to use a thesaurus to describe it, because I can't even describe fully how bad it was. It showed me that whatever else she thinks, other people are below her. It's more than the mania. I'm just there to serve her whenever she sees fit. She knew she would be giving birth soon, so she came home and expected me to take care of her. I did, of course, because she was 9 months pregnant. And the second she didn't have any more need of me, or the baby she had just given birth to, it was easy to take off again. I listened to her for days, and she expressed no feelings of hope for the baby other than a vehicle to spread their movement. No worry about their future life, and no more comments on me raising them as a sibling. She made the choice to leave and go back to sperm donor's harem or wheel or whatever. Sick or not, I'm ashamed to have raised someone with these kinds of values. Mentally ill people aren't bad people, but she has gone beyond merely bad choices. I haven't totally written her off, and she may come back to sanity, but since all indications are that I'm blocked again, I'm going to think long and hard about boundaries and possibly moving. I'm worried about one day finding a bunch of culty weirdos on my porch. So that's it. I don't know what to do. It's not like I have the resources to pay someone to deprogram my daughter, and that sounds very Hollywood. I need a realistic goal. It's more than just a cult. She needs a checkup from the neck up, and I don't have the legal standing to do anything. At least the baby is safe. That's the one bright spot. Thoughts are welcome, and forgive me, any realistic suggestions, or just tell me if I'm way off base and I'm the asshole here. This has been a hell of a year, and such a spiral. A year ago, I had a somewhat slacker teenager under my roof. Now, all of this,